Hello and thank you for joining me for another Alex on Tech and ITY TV interview. I'm joined today by Peter Coroneos. He's the founder of Cybermindz.org, the world's first mental wellness program for cybersecurity professionals. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Alex. Great to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you here, and it's great to be following up with the great things that Cybermindz is doing. But can you please give us a recap of the Cybermindz mission and what led you to the realization that such an organization was of urgent need in our modern world?
Yeah, it's been a bit of a journey, but really it began, I would say, prior to the pandemic. I'd started through the work I was doing with the Cybersecurity Advisors Network, which was something I was leading here as well in APAC. We were just seeing more and more of the stress and burnout that was affecting our peers. And I'd actually started doing some earlier work in stress management through my private company when I left the Internet Industry Association. That company's called Serenity Works. And so I was already doing work in the space of around mental resilience and also stimulating creativity and innovation, which is also one of the first casualties of stress, you probably realize. And so this was really an extension of work that had already been happening. But the game changer for me was during the pandemic, I decided to, since we weren't traveling as much, I thought I'd invest a bit of time just in building my own capabilities a little more. And so one of the things I did was I did training in the IREST protocol, which the Integrative Restoration Program protocol, which is the brainchild of Dr. Richard Miller in the US, who I know you've met and we've spent time with. But the IREST protocol is really a phenomenal way of helping people reset their flight or fight mechanism and get them out of this hyperactivation, this always on state that we are seeing more and more within the current cyber landscape for reasons I think we would appreciate. And so I started trialing the protocol with some of my colleagues, just doing it remotely over Zoom. And we were getting really amazing results very quickly. And so at that point, I realized that we had a tool that we could use that was scalable. The other beauty of the protocol is it's had nearly 15 or 20 years of application in the US military. And so in a way, it's a parallel kind of application with the defenders and people that are suffering from PTSD, stress, trauma, burnout, depression, anxiety, insomnia, all the things that we see surfacing more and more within cybersecurity. And so I suddenly realized that we had not only an effective protocol, but we also had a precedent in an application in a parallel field. And so I intuitively felt there would be a high level of acceptance around bringing this in to what is the first application of the IRIS protocol into cybersecurity anywhere in the world. And as a result, Cybermindz.org was born. We've set it up as a not-for-profit. It's a not-for-profit social enterprise. We're very, very mission-focused, purpose-driven. Our main objective, really our sole objective, is to alleviate the suffering within the cybersecurity professional community. And by extension, when we can get people back into their happiness effectively and their reconnection with why they came into the role and help them manage stress and switch off when they need to, then, I mean, there is a really a bigger agenda here, and that is ultimately, if we are successful in this, we should be able to start moving the needle on resilience of the society as a whole, because you can understand that if our defenders are burning out, then we're all at risk. So it's sort of, we've got a targeted mission, but it has macro implications.
Now, one of Cybermind's great founding partners is Mimecast, and they've just released new research showing how Australian cybersecurity professionals are reaching their breaking point, with 34% of them considering leaving their role in the next couple of years due to stress or burnout, as we were just discussing. You know, how work absences have increased following a cyber attack, of which there have been many last year, and how 57% feel very personally responsible in the event of a ransomware attack, up from 54% last year. So what else can you tell us about this research?
Yeah, it's really interesting research. There's not a lot of research in this area. In fact, we're very fortunate in Cybermindz. We've also got a very powerful research capability through Dr. Andrew Reeves, who is one of our directors and board member, but he's also one of the leading researchers worldwide within the psychology of human behavioral risk. So he has a PhD in psychology. He's also worked in cybersecurity on the tech space, at least. So he's got a very powerful two strands of expertise, which are coming together, and they're informing this major research program that we're currently running. We did release some preliminary results prior to Christmas, but effectively this is the first sort of robust study on the drivers of burnout. And in particular, we're creating a baseline study where we can examine how the cyber profession in Australia is comparing with the general population in terms of a number of metrics that I can talk about. But of those metrics, one of them is a very strong predictor of resignation intent. And what we're seeing through our research already, even though these results are preliminary, we're starting to see a stabilization of the data around findings that we expect there to be an increase in resignations out of these key cyber roles right at the time when we need them to be staying in the roles. And so this is this has profound implications for our national and organizational security posture. If we're losing our top cybersecurity leaders through to burnout, that's a very bad thing. And even though there are a lot of initiatives and funding going into building more capability into cybersecurity, you just cannot create that level of expertise overnight. And so a large part of our mission is really around the restoration of mental health of people in these key roles, so they don't leave, so that they stay connected and passionate, fulfilled in their roles. But also we have a very strong preventative aspect to our work too. And so this year we'll be kicking off programs where we begin training, building in mental resilience as part of the training and the development of new cyber entrants into the profession. So we're bringing them into the roles already with that full mental resilience skill set that's going to keep them effective and productive and happy for a long time to come, we hope.
Yeah. Now, one of the big events planned for this year is the Cybermindz Gala Fundraising Dinner on February 28th with New South Wales Minister for Digital, Victor Dominello, the guest of honour. So can you please tell us more about this event and what else is planned?
Yeah, we decided to start the year with a fundraiser. We think, we've got a lot of effectively brand awareness around our new little not-for-profit that happened last year. It was pretty surprising to see how quickly we got traction. And I think that was more a combination of just great timing and also a recognition that there was no real solution out there, nor is there yet, other than us, that has that dedicated focus on mental health in cyber. And so we're leveraging that and the partnerships that we've already established last year to create a fundraiser where we can start to build resources for the organization so we can go out and expand our programs and just start having an impact where it needs to be felt. So the event's as you say, on the 28th of February in the evening at Daltone House in Hyde Park, not the Jones Bay, but the Hyde Park venue in Elizabeth Street. It's an amazing venue, 5-star venue. It's crystal chandeliers and black and gold decor, and it's going to feel like a very special evening. Victor Dominello, as the Minister, is our guest of honour. He's been a fantastic support. New South Wales Government came in very early as a founding partner, and so we were thrilled with the level of support we've already received from them and through the CISO, Tony Chapman, and his team. So we want to recognise, now Victor is leaving politics, and we wanted to not let him leave without thanking him as an industry for the work that he's done and the recognition that he's given to these issues, mental health in cyber and cyber security generally. So a part of the night will be around just giving us the opportunity to recognise his work, to thank him for that. The other part is the fundraiser, of course. So we have a fun component. We're going to do a charity auction. We've got some interesting prizes that we will release probably next week. One of the things we are going to auction, and I will sort of reveal this now, we, as I said, want to work with the training institutions that are developing and building new cyber talent. and we want to do our courses in conjunction with the training that they're doing, so that as they're learning the technical skills of cyber, they're also learning the human resilience skills and building that effective capability to remain calm and happy under pressure. And so we want to auction a number of training places so that next year, or this year rather, it's 2023 already, we'll be able to go out and fund through the sponsorships or the products of the auction. The companies that win the auction will have the ability to fund the training of these groups, these blocks of students. And the vision there is that we will equip these students then with the skills that I mentioned. Also, the companies then know that you've got a cohort of students that are resilient, so that when you go in to hire them, it's a credential that they have that will give you confidence that not only have they got technical ability, but they also have these sort of deep human skills that are so necessary now. It's an extension of our sort of narrative around moral and ethical obligations as cyber leaders that we owe to new entrants. That there is enough research now that shows how stressful these roles can be. And so I think morally and ethically, it's on us to, in inviting people to come in and join the sector, that we should also ensure that they are safe when they come in and that we're protecting them and equipping them, so that we're not just going to burn them out and use them as cannon fodder, which would be, a very bad situation. We simply, it just doesn't scale in any event. That a burnout sort of based strategy is self-defeating from the outset. So we've got to build sustainability in on the way in. So that's basically the proposition. And so the auction of these training places is really predicated on that knowledge.
So can people go to cybermindz.org to find out more information about the gala dinner and to book tickets?
Absolutely, they can. We have table sales on sale now. So we only have a limited space in this venue. It's a great venue, but I'll actually be speaking there that same day with Mimecast at their national roadshow. So it was convenient for us to sort of keep the same venue, and so it'll be a sort of extension of that day. And so we have 200 places available, 20 tables. So the table sales have begun now. It's first in, best dressed in terms of positioning. So we'd encourage you to get in there and take a table. Also, we have Stephanie Lopez coming out from America as our keynote speaker alongside the minister. Stephanie I've spent time with, and she is a senior trainer with the IREST Institute in California. So this is the institute that sort of manages the delivery of the protocol worldwide through their training programs. And Stephanie is a very powerful exponent of the protocol. She's lectured at Google and Spotify and Berkeley University and other places like that. So she's very highly regarded with her knowledge of the protocol and all its broad application. She's also conversant with the way it's been applied in the military in the US. And so she'll be talking about, the opportunity here with us using Cybermindz as the vehicle by which we deliver the IREST protocol into cybersecurity, initially in Australia. And of course, we have aspirations for a global application as we move forward. So it's going to be an interesting night. It'll be a combination of this information that you're getting around people that have had deep experience in the protocol. The minister, of course, talking about the government's perspective on this. And then we'll have the auction where we just get a bit of colour and movement happening and a bit of fun. And then, well, of course, you've got the classic networking opportunity with the who's who of the cyber industry in attendance. And these are always good events.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I remember last year you launched in Melbourne and you announced Deloitte as one of the founding Cybermindz partners. Is there any update on that and how the training programs have been going, and any other activity with partners and plans for 2023?
Yes, we have 3 pilot programs beginning with the New South Wales Government, I believe in March. We've done pilot programs with CyberCX, and we did a hybrid program involving some Deloitte cyber people just before Christmas as well. So we're starting to get some great engagement now with some of our founding partners. I've already presented the protocol to Mimecast, I think the year before last, when we just started getting this thing going. And I was able to participate in a international SecOps 23, I think it's called, their major global virtual conference that will be going to air, I think actually on the same night as our gala dinner. So there's a big conversation going on internationally now around cybersecurity and mental health. You know, I'm hearing it again and again from large organizations and individuals that this is top of mind now for CISOs.
Mm.
Top of mind. We just cannot sustain the levels of burnout and stress that are happening under this relentless attack environment in which we're operating. There are no signs that it's going to abate in 2023. I'm actually writing an update to my book at the moment, and one of the predictions is that we're going to see an increase in identity theft, particularly in Australia, as a result of the Medibank and the Optus breaches, because that data went out and you know, was sufficiently available to bad actors that we expect that there are already some anecdotal evidence of people having their IDs stolen or credit cards opened in their names and money lost. So I think the bad actors are going to be seeking to monetize the information that's already been leaked. And when you consider the combined populations of the Optus and Medibank breaches, I mean, that's almost 20 million people. Not necessarily the same individuals, so there'll be some overlap, but I mean, it's a significant chunk of the adult population. And Australia is targeted by bad actors because we're an affluent, you know, first world nation. So we're a good target. And now that so much personal information's gone out the door, I expect that that'll be a big part of the issue. And so also as a result of the attacks, we're seeing a tranche of government regulation coming in. We've already seen increases in penalties of the Privacy Act just before Christmas from $2.2 million to $50 million for a breach, or 30% of the revenue in that period, the breach period. So whichever is the greater. So I think what that does is it increases the pressure on boards to take greater care of customer data, which is a good thing. That's the intention of the government. It's why they're increasing the penalties. But the bad news is that I believe that a lot of that pressure will come down to bear on the cyber teams. And so again, as if these people are not under enough pressure already, that the renewed regulation potentially has the perverse effect of actually increasing rates of burnout in cyber teams, because you understand that indirect dynamic of having greater accountability, more fear, if you like, at the board level, will translate down into, are we safe, and why can't you tell us that we're safe? And you know, it's the classic story. It's the disconnect between the life of the CISO, you know, doing their best, and then you've got generally boards that still don't fully appreciate the nuances of what the challenges of cybersecurity. And so I think, you know, we've got these deep dynamics within the sector that are driving burnout. There are others beyond that. I think mainly you'd say the publicity, the public nature of breaches, the consequential harm to the end user, the reputational damage to the organization, the potential liability on the directors, possible sanctions against the company from the government or regulator. All those things add up to a very potent mix of stress drivers. And I think that means that our work will become more important than ever in 2023. So we're really calling on the industry to get behind us, to support us, maybe take part in some training with us, certainly come along to the event and contribute to our capabilities. Ultimately, our vision is to establish dedicated training facilities in every state of Australia. And so we want to have a home in each state where we can bring teams in train them, support them, nurture them, mentor them, give them the skills, and also the normalization of the issues around mental health. We want to really make this a thing where you can feel that you can talk about it without being judged.
Or ostracized or
And I
whatever
think
else it might be.
exactly. I mean, the cultural shifts are occurring, but I really think there's an opportunity for us to be an agent, a change agent within that dialogue.
Mm.
Others have been doing that work already as individuals, but I think it's time now to coalesce as an industry. And, we've created the focal point for this, and now it's time to actually, get going,
Yeah.
do some work, do something good.
Yeah. I remember, 15, 20 years ago, companies had an internet division, and sort of everything internet was part of that division, and it sort of didn't really affect the rest of the business because the internet wasn't really in our lives as deeply as it is today. And then the realization came that every business is an internet business, and in the 2020s every business needs to understand that it is a cybersecurity business as well. It has to be, otherwise it will be out of business, as we've seen with companies suffering these major attacks. Some of these companies were so large that they were sort of almost too big to fail, but the reputational damage has been huge. And I'm very glad to see organizations, well, I'm very glad to see Cybermindz as the organization that's come and realized all of this and put together such an incredible program to actually make a real difference. So congratulations on everything you've done so far, and I look forward to being at the Cybermindz Gala Dinner fundraiser. I invite people to go to cybermindz.org to have a look for themselves. And any final messages from you, Peter?
I just thank you for that, Alex. I mean, it's nice that we're being recognized already, and we're really only just getting going.
Mm.
So I think the opportunity is there that we can really move the needle on human suffering within cybersecurity. I mean, I think it's a very realistic ambition to have. I think we're very confident because we've seen the results of the research already and our own pilot programs. There's nothing better, when you run a session with a group of cyber people. And I've worked in other aspects of cyber from policy and legislative and advisory roles.
Mm.
But honestly, this is the funnest thing I've ever done, in the sense that we can bring a group of cyber people together and just get them to feel okay about not feeling okay, even, that it's okay sometimes to have a bad day and you don't feel like you're losing the plot, because this is a common thing. So firstly, that sense of just acceptance of the nature of what we're dealing with here is a very important first step. Secondly, though, when you run the protocol with them, and they emerge at the other end of the 35 minutes, and they can't even speak. I mean, they're just that relaxed. And then they tell us that a week later that they've been listening to the recordings or doing the practice, and suddenly they're feeling a lot calmer. And one key point that came out from the last sessions we did before Christmas, they're saying they're making better decisions.
Yeah.
Which is something we hadn't really flagged, but it's coming from them. They're saying, I've got clarity now. I can see things in proportion. I can see when it's somebody else's stress that I'm apparently or about to take on, and now I can stop that from happening. Greater sense of control, and you see it, and it's just so fulfilling. I think it's really a rewarding thing for us to be doing. We get a big kick out of doing the training, and I think allowing the peers to talk with each other is a very important part of it. So there's a lot to be done, but I think, it's happening, and let's see what we can do in 2023.
Absolutely. Well,
Together.
again, best of success. Look forward to the event. And thank you very much for your time today.
Thanks, Alex.
Bye-bye.